We will now be looking at how to multiply fractions, and just like our other fraction videos, we were using fraction circles. In this lesson, we're actually going to do some paper folding. And again, just like our fraction circles, we don't have them in front of us, so I have the images drawn on the screen so you can see what it looks like. So we're going to see if we can figure out how to multiply fractions by doing some paper folding and see what happens. So in this first problem, we have Jed has half of a tray of brownies left from his birthday party. Jed is hungry and eats 2/3 of the leftover brownies. How much of one tray of brownies did Jed eat? So if I were to write this out as a multiplying problem, it would look like this: 2/3 times 1/2, or 2/3 of 1/2. The word of always means multiplying. So we're going to try to solve this problem first with some paper folding to see if we can come up with what we're really doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold a piece of paper in half and shade in one side. This is like the half of a pan of brownies that Jed has left. That's what we're going to start with. Now we're going to take that folded piece, we have it folded back, and we're going to cut it into thirds, or fold it into 3 pieces, because Jed ate 2/3 of that piece. So here would be a third, and here would be a third of what was left in the box, in the pan. And now that we have that, we're going to open it all back up, and here's like that whole pan of brownies. Over here we have the half a pan that was left, and here we have the 2 pieces that Jed ate. So how much out of the whole pan did Jed eat? Well, we can see that he ate 2 pieces out of the total, if we were to cut up the whole thing, 2 out of 6 pieces, which we know we can simplify into 1/3. If I look at my problem over here, I notice that 2 times 1 is 2, and 3 times 2 is 6. That might have something to do with what we're multiplying with fractions. All right, let's try one more to see if that holds true for another problem. Here we have Jimmy puts pepperoni on 3/4 of a pizza, and he puts sausage on 1/4 of the pepperoni part. How much of the pizza has both pepperoni and sausage? So that's the fraction problem: 1/4 times 3/4, or 1/4 of 3/4. So here we can see the 3 sections that Jimmy has pepperoni on. We're going to fold back that extra section, and we're going to cut it up into 4ths, because Jimmy had 1/4 of that section, 1/4 of those sections that had pepperoni and sausage. And then we'll open it all the way back up, and we can see how much of the entire pizza had both pepperoni and sausage. So I can count up 1, 2, 3 pieces, had both out of the total 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16. 3 out of the 16 pieces. Which, if we notice, 1 times 3 is 3, 4 times 4 is 16. You might have figured out so that what we're really doing when we're multiplying fractions is simply multiplying the numerators, multiplying the denominators, and then simplifying. So in this case, I have 4 times 2, which is 8, over 5 times 3, which is 15. We'll try 1 or 2 just to make sure we get the idea. When we're multiplying fractions, we simply multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and then simplify if necessary. So 2 times 4 is 8, just going to write it down here, over 3 times 6, which is 18. I know that 8 and 18 can be simplified because 2 will go into both. So divide by 2, divide by 2, and I get 8 divided by 2 is 4. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So that would be 4/9. Now, there is a shortcut that we can use for multiplying fractions so that we don't have to simplify when we're done. And basically what we're doing is simplifying in the problem instead of simplifying at the end. And here's how it works. When I look at the cross numbers, I can see if I can simplify those numbers now instead of waiting till the end. And what I notice is a 2 and a 6, 2 goes into both 2 and 6. So I can simplify that just like we would a fraction. 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. Now that I have those simplified, I can look at these cross products, and I have 3 and 4. Nothing goes into 3 and 4, they're already simplified. Now I can simply multiply the top. 1 times 4 is 4, over 3 times 3 is 9. And we end up with the same answer. We ended up not having to simplify at the end. So that's another option that you have. If that seems like too confusing, don't have that down yet, just multiply the top and bottom and simplify at the end. But it's kind kind of a nice trick to help you work with smaller numbers. Well, what if we have whole numbers? Because if we have a whole number here, right now that doesn't look like a fraction, so I'm not sure what part I'm going to be multiplying by that 2/3. If I think about it, I can think of 12 in regards to our fraction circles. And if I had 12 wholes, that would be like drawing up 12 circles. And how many pieces are each of those circles cut into? Well, 1. So I really have 12 over 1. Now I have two fractions. Now I can simply simplify, or multiply rather. 12 times 2 is 24. 1 times 3 is 3. And then we can simplify. 24 divided by 3 is 8. So my answer is 8. If we wanted to, we could do our cross-simplifying first, because we could simplify 12 and 3. 3 goes into 12 and 3. 3 goes into 3 once. And 3 goes into 12 4 times. And then I'm left with 4 times 2, which gives us 8. So again, that's just that helpful way to simplify first rather than at the end, but you don't have to do it that way. Here we're going to do the same thing. To change 4 into a fraction, we can just put a 1 underneath it because it's 4 circles, each cut into one piece. And then I can multiply. 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 5 is 5. And then I want to simplify my answer, which is going to be a mixed number. 5 goes into 12 2 times, and that would be 10, and we'd have 2 left over. So 2 and 2/5 is our final answer for that one. So if we're working with whole numbers and we're multiplying, first we need to change that whole number into a fraction by simply putting a 1 underneath it. And the last times that we're going to look at are multiplying with mixed numbers. And we have an extra step that we have to do as well with mixed numbers before we can multiply. We need to change those mixed numbers into improper fractions. So just like we do with adding and subtracting fractions, works better if we have all the same pieces, or we have all pieces. And that's what we want here. So if you remember back a while back ago, we had a lesson on how to change mixed numbers into improper fractions. And to do that, we take our whole number times our denominator, and we'll add the numerator. So 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So I have to really put down 3 here. So 3 over, the denominator stays the same, times 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. So 11 fourths. Now we have a problem just like we did before. Now we can simply multiply the top, multiply the bottom. 3 times 11 is 33. 2 times 4 is 8. And then we need to change that back into a mixed number. 8 goes into 33 4 times, and that would be 32. So we'll have 1 left over out of the 8 pieces. We can try one more just to make sure we got this down with mixed numbers. Whenever we're multiplying, we have mixed numbers. Our first step is to change the mixed number into improper fractions. So we're going to be doing 3 times 3, which is 9. 9 plus 1 is 10, and our denominator stays the same, times 1 times 5 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7, so 7/5. Now we can multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, but I'm going to use our little helpful trick to simplify this one first. I know that 10 and 5 goes into both, so 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 10 twice, and now I have 2 times 7 is 14, and 3 times 1 is 3. And then I can change it back into a mixed number, simplify. 3 goes into 14 4 times, that would be 12, and I'd have 2 left over, and my denominator is still 3. So multiplying fractions is a fairly simple procedure. You just need to multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and simplify. If you're working with a whole number, make sure you put a 1 underneath that whole number, so it's a fraction. And if you're working with mixed numbers, change the mixed numbers into improper fractions first, then multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators. And you can always look for our nice cross product trick here, cross simplifying trick of simplify the cross products first, so you don't have to simplify at the end. But that is just an option, you don't have to do it that way.